Hello Ray, Matthew here with freeprescriptionlenses.com, and with the help of my GoPro camera, I'm going to show you how I cut transition lenses with anti-glare for your own frame. So let me open up the box that you sent them to me in, and let's get started. Let's see, is that enough to open it? Is that enough? There we go, open it up. Here is your frame on the inside. Let's take everything out of the protective case, set that aside. This looks like an Oakley. I can tell from the bag. Okay, there we go. Beautiful, brand new pair. This is, let me read the inside. It is a brushed gray in a 2295. What is the model number? The Plank, the Oakley Plank. This thing's pretty sharp, pretty sharp. Looks like it's got the carbon graphite sides on there. Lightweight's got to be titanium. So the first thing I'm going to do is pop your original demo lenses out, the ones that has the little Oakley insignia on there. And I'm going to put your frame into my tracer on my Santinelli LE1000 patternless edger, and the stylus is going to come up and trace the shape of your right lens, and then it's going to scoot over and trace the shape of your left lens. Here at freeprescriptionlenses.com, where everyone loves a bargain and no one is disappointed with quality. So it's almost done tracing the left side, and then I'm going to pull up the shape onto the computer. So let's pull up your shape. That is now the shape of your lens. If this were a prescription, I'd be putting in the pupillary distance, but it's not, so I'm going to match the frame's PD. These are polycarbonate lenses that I'm going to cut on the soft cycle, which means it cuts slower because of the anti-glare. And this is a metal frame, to make sure to put a bevel on there. So the first thing I'm going to do is take your transition lenses out of its protective sleeves, set those down. In fact, let me go ahead and clean up my mess. And I need to put this block on the lens. That's what's going to hold it in place while it's cutting. So I'm going to use, I have a little double-sided sticky pad from 3M. I'm going to put this on one block, pull away the tape on this side to show the sticky side there, and put that on there. Let's do the same thing for the other side. And we're good to go. Now, one more thing I want to do. Your anti-glare coating is also a hydrophobic coating, meaning that it hates water, and it makes it a little bit slippery while it's cutting, so I'm going to put an extra sticky side on this side so it cannot slip in the chuck while it is cutting. So let me put this in here and hit start, and the first thing that's going to happen, well, let me make sure the trap is not full. Okay. The first thing that's going to happen is the calipers are going to come down and trace the shape of your frame onto the lens. It's going to trace the concave side of the lens first, closest to your eyelashes, and then it's going to move over and trace the convex side of the lens. Using the calipers to measure the lens thickness, knowing exactly where to put the bevel into your frame. The actual cutting wheel is down here on the bottom. It's this lighter color wheel that's like a heavy grit sandpaper that's going to grind away your polycarbonate material. This wheel in the center, what's going to put the bevel onto the lens so it stays inside the bevel of your metal frame. I will have to close the door while it's cutting due to the sound, but for now I just wanted you to see is your transition lenses with anti-glare as it touches down onto the cutting wheel. Okay. I want to get my screwdriver ready. Where is my screwdriver? Where is my screwdriver? Alright, what did I do with it? What did I do with it? Where is it hiding? It's got to be back here somewhere. If not, I'll go steal another one from up front. It's got a very tiny blade on there. Did I leave it down here where I was tinting lenses? Let's see. Don't worry, I've got more. I have got more. Let me go out here. This looks like it. Look at it sitting there. Okay. We're good to go. I just want to make sure I've got the small blade. And that it is. So I'm going to go ahead and loosen the screw on the right side of your frame. After all that, it's a Phillips head. After all that, there we go. So I've opened up your frame there. Now this whole process is going to take about 15 minutes. It's now 8:26 on Friday, April 18th, 58 degrees in my hometown of Durham, North Carolina, at least according to my Samsung Gear watch. Tomorrow it's supposed to be rainy and a high of 53, low of 55. Of course, you're out of Chantilly, Virginia, so you should have about the same weather. Especially since we're neighbors. I'm just a couple hours south of you in Durham, North Carolina. So if you notice, your lens is still completely flat around the edges, just like a nickel. If I were to take this out, it would stand up on its own. Now it's going to move over and put the bevel onto the lens. And once this is done, I'm going to show you as your lenses darken. One other feature about your anti-glare coating. Now, let me pull another lens out that does not have it on there. Anti-glare, it's 3 features in one. The anti-glare portion eliminates glare when driving at night, particularly driving at night in the rain, but from street lights, stoplights, computer screens, overhead lights, fluorescent lights. The second feature, it's an anti-reflection lens. So when someone's looking at you, they're not looking at their reflection in your lens. Or if someone takes a picture with a flash, you don't see the flash lit up. It makes for much better eye contact. You can see how the fluorescent lights reflect off the lens on the right and not off of yours. Much better cosmetic quality. Plus, the other feature that I like is it comes with the best scratch coating of any lens out there, because they want to protect that expensive anti-glare coating. So your lens is done. I'm going to take this out. Because it is a little bit slippery when wet, I'm going to dry everything off. You still have a little bit of rough edges, so I'm going to use my handstone, which is completely flat. I can put my hand on it while it's running, and my hand just gets warm from the friction. So I'm going to go around the outside of your lens and put on what's known as the safety bevel. It's this white powdery substance you see on the lens that I'm scraping off with my fingernail. And I do this so much I have worn a V-shaped bevel into my thumbnail. My friends call it my occupational thumbnail. Once I have everything scraped off of your lens and onto the counter, I just wipe it off onto the floor. And this is where I love to say in every video, kids, I went to school for years to learn how to wipe stuff on the floor. Don't think you can do it as easily as me. Stay in school and learn to make a mess. So in order to make sure your lens fits, I'm going to tuck it in at the outside corner and then work its way in there. I'm trying not to take the screw out all the way, but I don't think I'm going to be that lucky. So let me take back the screw out a little bit farther until the whole frame comes apart. There we go. That should give me a little bit more room. And then that tucks in, and I'm going to tighten the screw back. Twist, 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 twist. This makes for good entertainment, doesn't it? And let me see, I'm going to put this down on my moleskin, not to damage the finish on the coating. I'm going to twist. There's still a little bit of a gap, so I'm going to take it down 1/10 of a millimeter more. Once I get the size just perfect, I'm going to flip it over and cut the left lens. The right lens takes a little bit longer because you can always cut more off of a lens. You can never add it back on. So I'm going to take 1/10 of a millimeter off. And a millimeter is the distance between my thumbnails, is 1 millimeter. There's 25.4 millimeters in an inch. So I'm going to take 1/10 of that distance between my thumbnails off the circumference of your lens. Now it's not going to the cutting wheel, it's just going to the bevel wheel. And I'm going to take 1/10 of a millimeter off all the way around your lens. You see a little bit of swarf there. You see that? You see that? Now, if you notice, it has been cutting dry up until now. The polycarbonate material of your lens cuts dry. Plastic and high index cut wet, where this water is running the whole time for plastic and high index. Now, your lenses are polycarbonate, which means there's 3 pretty much primary lens materials: glass, plastic, and polycarb. Glass has gone by the way of the dinosaur. Plastic is the less expensive version. Polycarbonate is thinner and lighter weight than plastic by 40%. It is also virtually unbreakable. Your lenses are also bulletproof up to 22 caliber and has both UVA and UVB protection. We know what the sun's harmful ultraviolet rays can do to your skin by overexposure. Your eyes are 8 times more sensitive than your skin. So you have permanent sunscreen for your eyes now. I just want to scrape that off around the edge of the lens just like before. Wipe that on the floor, dry everything off your lens, and let's go ahead and get this mounted again. So I'm going to tuck the lens back into its place. I'm going to use the screwdriver to start closing this gap. That looks much better. I'm going to put it back onto my moleskin, which is like a leather. Tighten that up, and yeah, that gap is perfect now. So let's do the same thing. I'm going to flip this over and cut your left lens, and now hit start. And just like before, the caliper is going to come down and trace the shape of your left lens onto the lens to make sure it's large enough to cut out, which it is. It's just this is a routine operation. I cannot override. I would if I could. It would save me a minute on every lens, but people out there like to watch this, so I'm going to let them watch. Camera 1, camera 2, camera 1, camera 2. Which one do you like better? How about camera 3, this angle? How good is the zoom on my GoPro? And down it goes. Down it goes. I'm following with it. Of course, with this camera on my head, I can't see what you guys are seeing. Not until I upload it to YouTube. And I have a 20-minute cutoff, so hopefully I can get all this in one. And I want to show you as your lens darken as well. Now, this Oakley bag that it comes with, this is also your cleaning cloth, but I'm going to throw in one of my cleaning cloths as well. I'm also going to give you instructions on how to care for yours so that it will last you for years, as well as the one I'm sending you. Plus, I also send out a photo request. A couple years ago, when I was at my barber shop and I saw the faces on the wall of the people he had cut, it gave me the idea to start taking pictures of my patients when they came to pick up their glasses. So with each order, I started sending out a photo request, just so you can have your picture on the website. And I'm actually very much a people person. I have to bond with people. When I see them face to face, I have to get all up in their grill when I adjust their nose pads and the temple tips behind their ears. So it's hard for me to do that for my online sales, so that's why I send out a photo request for everybody. Helps me identify with the people I work with. So this one is done, so I'm going to take this block off. Let me move this box out of the way. I no longer need this blue sticker. I'm going to peel that off and stick that there. Did I loosen this screw? Not yet. Let's go ahead and get this loosened up. Now, 99% of all optical shops will do free adjustments. I hope where you bought these at would do it for you. But when you get these, if they're too loose or too tight, or if they're sitting high on one side, just stop by your local optical place and just ask them to adjust it for you. It should only take about 15 to 30 seconds to get a pair of glasses adjusted just right. So the last of the bevel is being put on, and pretty soon the water cycle is about to kick in. There we go. Look at that timing. And make sure no water is splashed on the camera. Dry that off. Okay. Let me pull this out. Just like before, I'm going to dry everything off. Now comes the safety bevel. Use my thumbnail to scrape that off. Scrape it off your lens. And then wipe it on the floor. You know the deal. Kids, stay in school. How many times I got to tell you? Alright, so now I'm going to try and tuck this one in. And I'm going to tighten the eye wire screw back. Make sure that's mounted in there properly. Let's set this down. Tighten that the rest of the way. Yeah, that gap is closed perfectly on both sides, so let me take this block off, peel this sticker off. I do want to use a little bit of optic, and what I'm going to do before I send it to you is make sure it's in standard alignment. So I want it in a 3-point stance. Those 3 points are 1, 2, and the bottom of the frame being 3. I set that down, push that down. There is no wobble. I flip it over, Do the same thing. There is no wobble. I close each temple to make sure they overlap perfectly, and they do with the same amount of tension. Although it does look like this side comes in a little bit further, so let me straighten that out a little bit for you. Save you some time from going by your optical shop. There we go, that's better. Now I want to use my optical grade acetone to clean your lenses off. Just get any adhesive residue off that may be there. Sorry, here's my ginger sauce and my shrimp sauce from lunch today. And of course, all Asian food, gotta go with my sriracha hot sauce, because that goes great with Asian food. I got my Texas Pete for the American stuff. Okay. That is cleaned off really well, and as you see, your lenses are still virtually clear. I'm going to go ahead and darken them. I'm going to put them in my little transitions unit, which has a strong ultraviolet light in there. And it takes about 30 to 45 seconds for the lenses to darken. It takes a little bit longer when you come back inside out of the sun. It takes 45 seconds to a minute 15 to return to clear. Now, as you can see, all transition lenses will turn dark on day one. Ray, this is important to listen to. They will get dark on day one, as you're about to see, but they're going to continue to darken every day for the first couple weeks until they reach their final setting. After that, they will work for years with maximum performance. The only time they will not work is when you're behind the windshield of a traditional car. Your windshield absorbs all the sun's harmful ultraviolet rays so your upholstery doesn't rot or your dashboard doesn't crack from sitting in the sun. That's why they won't darken in your car. Now, if you have a motorcycle or a convertible, they will darken, just not behind the windshield in a traditional car. They are temperature sensitive, meaning that once it gets into the 90s, and especially the upper 90s and above, they just don't get as dark as they do when it's a little bit cooler than that. I like to remind everyone your lenses are miserable. You're miserable. When it's 100 degrees, nobody wants to work. So that is it. They're going to continue to darken. Don't you worry. But that is that. As I continue to talk, they will lighten. Ray, I hope you've enjoyed watching me put transition lenses with anti-glare coating into your frame. Anyone else out there who has any questions, or if you want to mail me your frame like Ray has done, just mail it to me and I'll get the lenses cut and shipped back out within 24 hours. Ray, I hope you enjoyed watching your glasses being made. Everyone else, you've got a chance to see how I bring that love and feeling back to glasses. Thank you.